Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is The Villainess Flips the Script, a completed reincarnation manhwa that I've read to completion, which is 119 chapters long. Its main character is Judith Maybaum, or specifically a person that reincarnated into a novel where Judith is supposed to be the angry aunt to the protagonist and doesn't live the most happy life. Now, our Judith knows the plot of this story and looks to discover a way to live that happy life that the old Judith would have been able to. For that to happen, she looks to ensure that Luca, her nephew, is properly picked up by his uncle in a way that won't reflect badly on her. Things, of course, don't go her way, and she gets roped along with accompanying Luca to the Winterwald household, one of the great noble houses in the land. Will Judith be able to live that happy life, or is she destined to meet the original end that the script calls for? The story is 9 out of 10. An overall solid entry to the romantic fantasy genre, The Villainess Flips the Script offers a plot that has a goal to strive and reach, but enough twists, turns, and complications for the characters, which provides honestly a pretty nice package of a story that keeps you invested but doesn't overextend its stay. The characters are 8 out of 10. Since Judith isn't supposed to be the protagonist, but of course she is for this manhwa, there's a good amount of divided focus and development for a bunch of the other characters. From Luca's story, and even his uncle, who is part of the Winterwald household, gets a good amount of spotlight. The art is 9 out of 10. From expressive characters to a varied amount of scenes and backgrounds, the art gives off an investigative and mysterious feel towards it due to the early questions that I personally had, at least from the early chapters, given the personalities provided and the expected outcomes that Judith thinks should happen. So if you're looking for a completed manhwa that is part of the romantic fantasy genre but stems initially from a novel reincarnation trope, or maybe you liked my failing divorce from my previous videos, then make sure to at least give The Villainess Flips the Script a read. This next manhwa to look over is Become a Legend as an All-Rounder, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 64 on. The protagonist of this manhwa is Kim Tae-sok, a construction worker who has a bad back due to the amount of physical labor he puts his body through to take care of his sick mother. A close uncle of his advises him to stop the physical labor as it will have lasting negative effects on him, plus the jobs don't pay enough. So, Tae-sok constantly applies to Elsong, a big conglomerate that will assist in procuring enough money to take care of his mother. After many attempts, a fateful opportunity presented itself. He passed the screening. As he attends it though, a game-like screen status notification that only he can see pops out in front of him saying, "Tutorial for a regular employee. What's in store for this filial son?" The story is 8 out of 10. Considering the fact that Tae-sok is the main character, it's bound to be the case that he joins Elsong. With that in mind, a story about an office worker in one of the big conglomerates in the country sounds like something from a Korean drama. For those who are more familiar with some of the more common tropes in that media, you can expect probably quite a few here. The characters are 9 out of 10. The relationship that Tae-sok has with his mother and uncle is quite endearing, and their past as one story unit is actually quite touching and important to the overall storyline. You can't help but be attached to these three considering what they've gone through and what they choose to do with their futures. The art is 8 out of 10. With a modern office setting, the illustrations of the office for a regular employee is in my opinion quite well done. Both the positives and negative points can be related to for people who work in the white-collar environments. So if you're a fan of modern manhwas and haven't had a chance to dive into a manhwa that focuses on more large corporations or conglomerates, then give Become a Legend as an all-rounder a go when you have the chance. Youngest Son of the NamGung clan is the name of our next manhwa. It's a regression manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 69 on. NamGung Dae-so is the name of its main character. Known as the youngest son of the well-renowned and powerful martial arts NamGung family, he unfortunately was defeated in the competition for the position of vice patriarch of the family. The consequences? His core or danshan was broken so that he couldn't practice martial arts anymore. One fateful night while drinking his sorrows away, he meets his end at the hands of another. Waking up, He finds himself back in the past, Danchan's still intact and young again? With this new chance, he looks to make the most of it, whether that be part of the NamGung family or not, as long as he's able to cherish those he cares for the most. The story is 7 out of 10. Youngest son of the NamGung clan is actually more of a comedy compared to the more typical Muram or action titles that I've previously covered. It doesn't take itself very seriously and is able to, in my opinion, poke fun at more of the common tropes of this type of manhwa. I've personally enjoyed Deso's happy-go-lucky approach to his second life. The characters are 8 out of 10, with an entertaining and amusing set of characters aside from Deso, who are all related to the powerful NamGung family one way or another, usually in a negative fashion, all end up playing an interesting role in the power dynamics within the family. The art is also 8 out of 10. Given the action and martial arts nature of this manhwa, the art style doesn't initially give a comedic vibe from it. However, after getting enough exposure from it, I end up actually really enjoying the comedic aspects it portrays to us readers. So if you're looking for an action manhwa set in the Muram world but actually has quite the comedic potential to it, then make sure to take a peek at the youngest son of the NamGung clan when you get the chance. Our next manhwa to look over is The Masters Have Subscribed, a murder manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 24 on. The focus of this story is on Yeon Chong-won, an outer disciple of the Wudang sect, which for those not familiar with murder manhwas is usually regarded as a famous and righteous sect in most works, and an outer disciple is one who joins the sect as an outsider. Chong-won has not made any improvement whatsoever in martial arts, and so his social standing in the eyes of his peers is very low. One random day though, he all of a sudden starts hearing a voice in his head. After some explanation, it seems that the founder of the Wudang sect, or at least one of them, who is in the heavenly realm, is able to speak to him somehow? Willing to impart martial arts to him, Chong-won begins the journey to become someone renowned. Or will it all come crashing down another way? The potential is 8 out of 10. The initial concept by both the cover art and the title by itself already give a picture as to what type of story this is. Chong-won becomes the gateway for the founder of the Wudang sect to have some influence on the earthly realm again. If he isn't the only one and more characters are introduced, there are a lot of ways this manhwa can choose to go, and I am at least curious enough to follow along. The art is 7 out of 10. With a low amount of chapters compared to a lot of the Muram manhwas I've previously covered, The Masters Have Subscribed hasn't disappointed, yet not exceeded, any of my expectations so far. The foundation is there for this to be more of a solid contender, either in the pure action category or a comedic action one. So if you're a fan of newer manhwa stories and are particularly fond of Muram ones, then keep a tab on The Masters Have Subscribed. It might just surprise both yourself and I. Another week, another highlight. For those unaware, this is the section of the video I update impressions for manhwa that I previously covered. Today's highlight is the producer's second life, which I now read up to chapter 174 on. Info card in the description will have links to my original opinion. Kang Jun-soo has been living a very busy life since the last time I covered this manhwa. From having to work on movies and TV shows in addition to working with a multitude of people of different professions and personalities, Jun-soo has his work cut out for him. While not having an overall plot to work with other than Jun-soo's conviction to live this second life fruitfully as a producer, this manhwa instead branches out in different directions following Jun-soo's multitasking everywhere as it seems the producer needs to do. There isn't really much else to say other than take a read for it yourself with some of my scores in mind that I'm about to go through. My previous scores for this manhwa were 9 out of 10 for art, 8 out of 10 for story, and 7 out of 10 for characters. The art stays the same at 9 out of 10 as the showcase of what happens behind the scenes of making dramas, movies, etc. are still on full display. There are also a number of emotional scenes shown, both acting and in Jun-soo's life, that are depicted quite well that helps keep everything together with this solid score. The story goes down 1 point from 8 out of 10 to 7 out of 10. Due to its slice-of-life nature and the fact that there really isn't an overall plot, you may have a sense of idle wandering or plot boredom reading through this if you aren't a fan of these types of stories. Of course, if you enjoy them, then disregard the drop in score. The characters move up 1 point from 7 out of 10 to 8 out of 10. As with more material, the introduction of more characters and connections with Junsu to pursue in many different ways. One thing I will note, if you're a fan of more direct romantic lines, then this manhwa won't be one to look at and might be one to avoid instead. The Producer's Second Life was one of my first modern regression manhwas in show business that I've covered on this channel. While it isn't necessarily the strongest, it does have a firm place of being one of my main comparisons for any manhwa that go towards this direction. So if you're a fan of modern regression manhwas that have the main character be part of creating shows, then make sure to at least take a peek. Would you agree or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on the Producer's Second Life. And that wraps up this week's episode. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, as it really does help out a lot. Write down in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.